Hi guys, happy Tuesday, April 1st. So I had all intentions of doing a video this morning, and my plan was to read a Proverbs every day and just come on here and read and share a Proverbs every day, because I think that's an easy way sometimes when you're looking to get started digging into the word, an easy place to start. And one of the tips that I've heard previously was to read Proverbs every day of the month. So on the first day, read Proverbs 1, second Proverbs 2. There's 31 Proverbs. So on months that only have 30 days, just double up one of the days. But as I was kind of looking through, so we did that in one of the Bible studies a couple months ago, I think, and we had done some on Proverbs 1, so I kind of already have some notes in there from that. And I was looking at, and so Proverbs was written by King Solomon, and so I was doing a little research before I hopped on here to do this video, and was looking at so Solomon's typically known for his wisdom, right? That's one of the things that, you think of King David, you think of the Psalms and the songs and singing and all that. And when you think of Solomon, he's known for his wisdom. And so 1 Kings 3 is where I was led, just through doing a little bit of research on King Solomon. And I just thought we'd read that together first, and depending on the time, we'll hop over to Proverbs. Okay, so 1 Kings 3, and I am in the NIV. So Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and married his daughter. He brought her to the city of David until he finished building his palace and the temple of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. The people, however, were still sacrificing at the high places, because a temple had not yet been built for the name of the Lord. Solomon showed his love for the Lord by walking according to the instructions given him by his father David, except that he offered sacrifices and burned incense on the high places. The king went to Gibeon to offer sacrifices, for that was the most important high place, and Solomon offered 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, "Ask for whatever you want me to give you." Solomon answered, "You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on his throne this very day. Now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in the place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours?" The Lord was pleased that Solomon had asked for this. So God said to him, "Since you have asked for this, and not for a long life or wealth for yourself, nor have you asked for the death of your enemies, but for discernment in administering justice, I will do what you have asked. I will give you a wise and discerning heart, so that there will never have been anyone like you, nor will there ever be. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. And if you walk in obedience to me and keep my decrees and commands as David your father did, I will give you a long life." Then Solomon awoke, and he realized it had been a dream. He returned to Jerusalem, stood before the ark of the Lord's covenant, and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. Then he gave a feast for all his court. Now 2 prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. One of them said, "Pardon me, my lord. This woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The 3rd day after my child was born, this woman also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house but the 2 of us. During the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while I, your servant, was asleep. She put him by her breast and sighed she put him by her breast and put her dead son by my breast. The next morning I got up to nurse my son, and he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I saw that it wasn't the son I had born." The other woman said, "No, the living one is my son, the dead one is yours." But the first one insisted, "No, the dead one is yours, the living one is mine." And so they argued before the king. The king said, This one says, "My son is alive and your son is dead," while that one says, "No, your son is dead and mine is alive." Then the king said, "Bring me a sword." So they brought a sword for the king. He then gave an order, "Cut the living child in 2, and give half to one and half to another." The woman whose son was alive was deeply moved out of love for her son and said to the king, "Please, my lord, give her the living baby. Don't kill him." But the other said, "Neither I nor you shall have him. Cut him in 2. Then the king gave his ruling, "Give the living baby to the first woman. Do not kill him. She is his mother." When all Israel heard the verdict and the king had given, they held the king in awe because they saw that he had wisdom from God to administer justice. That's a lot to unpack, but how humble he must have been and how wise already. And I don't know how old. I didn't look that up to see how old he was when he was put into position as king. But what I had read was that so Solomon was not only did he just ask for wisdom, but he wanted to be fair and just and rule well. And so that's just kind of something to keep in mind, like when you're reading. And so like when we're reading Proverbs, just who Solomon was and what he was just about him. So Proverbs, so Solomon was king of Israel, and he was known for his wisdom. And a Proverbs, they're well-known sayings and gives good advice, right? So the first chapter of Proverbs starts out, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair. So that's the purpose, right? For giving prudence to those who are simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and the discerning get guidance. Very important. For understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. To me, and I have some of that underlined, we must always be learning, right? We must always be growing, and we can't be stagnant. I had a thought on the way home, and I'm going to stop this probably at like 12 minutes at most, about what's your ripple, or what's your root system. How are you impacting? And you think of water and ripple. We can't say stay stagnant, because what happens to stagnant water? It's, it'll get stinky, or, in lakes, stagnant water, can grow. It just gets gross. But if we have that flow and that, not necessarily tides, but we could, because sometimes we have tides, things can ebb and flow and whatever, but the moving water, we just have to keep that flow in that engagement in the word. So we must be continuing to be willing and open to learning and receiving wisdom and correction. Yeah. Warning against the invitation of sinful men, verse 8. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. They are a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck. So instruction is good, right? So they're things that, and think about Solomon. So he was wise, he was David's son, and his father's instruction, just it kind of, your instruction, your upbringing kind of shows, right? My son, if sinful men entice you, do not give in to them. Do not consent, right? If they say, come along with us, let's lie in wait for innocent blood, let's ambush some harmless soul, let's swallow them alive like the grave, and whole like those who go down to the pit, we will get all sorts of valuable things and fill our houses with plunder. Cast lots with us, we will all share the loot. My son, do not go along with them. Do not set foot on their paths, for their feet rush into evil. They are swift to shed blood. How useless to spread a net where every bird can see it. These men will lie in wait in their own blood. They ambush only themselves. Such are the paths of all who go after the ill-gotten gain. It takes away the life of those who get it. So I looked back, and the note I had made, so applicable today, not necessarily always physical, but how we treat others. Do we treat them with respect? Do we speak love and life over others? And I feel like this comes out to the power of our tongue. And are we speaking life, or are we speaking death? What are we consenting to? What are we participating with? Are we joining in the gossip, or are we turning away from it? Because that can be the same thing, right? So that's the first part of Proverbs 1. It's late, and we will pick up the second half and jump into Proverbs 2 tomorrow.